In the top stories, BAS CEO says onion and poultry production are up, but imports continue. A warning that government will have to pay for abandoning the Cahill plant, and Michael Jackson White wins another road tennis blast. Welcome to Nation News for Monday, May 30th, 2016. I'm Natasha Beckles. CEO of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, has expressed concern about continued imports of onions and poultry wings at a time when local production is up. Speaking during a press conference on Monday, he called for a system to track the availability of produce. Mr. Paul said plantations are struggling to get their onions sold, even as costly imports flood the market.
In the past, the BADMC acted as a buffer in terms of trying to determine what was needed within the local market when it came to onions. However, because of the fact that that aspect of it has been sort of decontrolled, I would say, you do not have a situation where information goes to a central point where you can determine, first of all, what is the production up there and if there's a need at this point in time, and therefore how do we communicate back to buyers, whether or not be retailers, wholesalers, or whoever, as to the availability of onions. This is a particular difficulty because right now we have sitting in different barns in the country, and right now, over 10,000 bags of onions, okay, that apparently they find it difficult to sell.
The CEO said there was record poultry production last year, with more people getting involved in the industry and investing more. However, he said this could be compromised if imports aren't properly balanced. Senator Wilfred Abrams has warned that government will have to pay a price for abandoning the waste-to-energy plant earmarked for Vaucluse St. Thomas. The attorney said the Front Austria administration had already entered into contracts with Cahill Energy, guaranteeing the provision of the land, water, and garbage, and the purchase of electricity generated by the plant. He was addressing a meeting of the Barbados Labour Party's Christchurch East branch on Sunday.
In any legal contract where there's substantial sums at play and you want somebody to start initial work, so I'm changing my legal position based on what you've told me. There are penalties attached to that. Don't let anybody fool you. The government of Barbados is going to have to pay substantial money to Cahill for breaching this contract. If the government does not go forward, having signed those agreements, money has to be paid to Cahill. The minister needs to come clean and say what is the government of Barbados's exposure. And as a consequence, your and my exposure as taxpayers to Cahill for breaching this.
Education Minister Ronald Jones is standing by his ministry's decision to dock the pay of teachers who attended Barbados Union of Teachers meetings on April 29th and May 4th. He said under the law, public servants' pay can be reduced if there is no reasonable justification for absence. Mr. Jones said if there were outstanding issues after the ministry met with the union in February, a simple phone call would have been enough. He was speaking at a Democratic Labour Party St. George South Branch meeting on Sunday.
Thank you for any marching up and down in the park, or the gymnasium, or for any noise. using your resources at your disposal. That's what it calls for. And then you call for respect, or you practice disrespect. And you know, the work is still out. I'm still thinking through this process. You have a meeting on Friday. Your first press briefing, or your comments to the media, is that the members, you're sending a message to me where the president of the media, you don't have to let me, but you have to respect the office.
CEO of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., William Billy Griffith, says tourism officials are still keen on using Rihanna to promote the island. The superstar's 3-year contract with the then Barbados Tourism Authority came to an end about 2 years ago, but Mr. Griffith said fresh talks could soon take place. He made the comments while addressing a recent editorial forum at The Nation.
We have had some discussions in BTMI in terms of the role that Rihanna can play. We think, and we haven't had any direct discussions in recent times with our management, but it could very well be in the offing, and I think our minister indicated to that there is got to be some discussion in terms of how we can leverage her marketability to increase the awareness of Rihanna. If you go to Italy or Germany or Europe or Japan and you say Barbados today, they will say Rihanna.
Scores of Barbadians said their final goodbyes to Reverend Dr. Edwin Beyer on Monday at the St. George Parish Church. Mr. Beyer, who died at age 75, was the father of Labour Minister Senator Dr. Esther Beyer-Suku. She eulogized him as one who loved to spread the word of God and who traveled to many countries doing what he loved. Prime Minister Frondell Stewart was among those attending the service. 2 girls received minor injuries on Saturday after they were involved in an accident with a motor car along Black Rock Main Road, St. Michael. Reports indicate 10-year-old Christina Brathwaite and 7-year-old Khadija McLean had just disembarked from a church bus and were crossing the road when they were hit. The car was driven by 39-year-old Andre Yearwood of Black Rock. The girls were treated at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and discharged. A group of surfers marched along the west coast on Saturday to protest the building of a breakwater along Sandy Lane Bay and the adjacent beachhead. Carrying surfboards and placards, about 8 surfers walked from the Holtong Police Station to Esso Service Station at Paynes Bay. The march was led by Samuel Innes, the president of the newly formed Friends for the Protection of Surf and Beach.
We got word 2 years ago that Sandy Lane is going to build a breakwater inside the bay and just north of the hotel. And if anyone know the mechanics of Sandy Lane, if you build anything in the bay down there, it's going to mess up the surf break. Right, so we started the protest and the petition under the office that we don't want any breakwater 150 to 200 meters close to the break. Right now, they have one of the breakwaters 60 meters just north of the break, and that is not far enough. So it will affect the surf break in maybe a negative way.
Surfer Cassius St. John also shared concern.
I have no problem with them putting in some protection and improving the beach and stopping erosion and stuff like that. But then to damage the break, we got to make sure that whatever they're putting in, that they're proven without a shadow of a doubt that it don't affect the reef.
In sport, Julian Michael Jackson White won his 2nd successive Burger King Invitational Road Tennis Blast on Sunday night in a repeat of the previous weekend's contest. He beat Mark Venom Griffith 21-19 before a large crowd at Sky Mall. Earlier, White advanced to the finals with a skillful dismissal of Darius Baracus Gaskin, while Griffith beat Curtis Jones. And finally, tenants at a Salt Lake City apartment complex say they don't quite like a condition to their lease which centers around Facebook. They recently received a lease agreement which mandates that they friend the complex within 5 days of signing or be found in violation. The document also has a release that permits the property to post pictures of tenants and their visitors on its Facebook page. City Park Apartments has yet to explain the reasoning behind the new contract. And that's Nation News for Monday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.